All right, we're here. Our first webinar on the new platform. Thank you everybody for joining. I'm Alfredo. I'm here with Danny, who's going to be hosting today's webinar. I'll be in the background helping answer any questions, make sure things are going smoothly. Danny, you want to share the first slide?
There you go.
So those of you who've been to our webinars before know this song and dance. We always start with promoting our podcast Shoestring. So the premise of Shoestring, if you haven't listened to it, is on each episode we reach out to one of our Simple Texting customers, and we learn more about their business, learn what marketing challenges they're facing, and then we offer them one-on-one help. And this is really what inspires our webinars. It helps us get closer to our customers and figure out what kind of customer education we should do. So if this sounds interesting to you and you think you would benefit from some one-on-one help, I encourage you to give the podcast a listen, because at the very end, we share a phone number. And if you text us, that goes right to Danny and I, and we can see whether you'd be a good fit for the next episode of the podcast. So with that, just two housekeeping things. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A. So next to the chat, you'll see a Q&A tab. You can type your questions in there. And if you see a question that somebody else has submitted that you're really interested in hearing the answer to, you can give it a vote, so that way we can help prioritize questions. All right, I'm going to pop in to the backstage, and Danny, I'll let you take it from here.
Awesome. Thanks, Alfredo. I'm going to go ahead and share this screen so we can make sure everybody's in the right place. Make sure you're at the right webinar here. We're going to be talking about 5 hidden features that you should probably know about if you have a Simple Texting account. We say hidden, but they're not hidden. They're easy for you to find. But I find that it's funny. I'll be talking to customers and they'll say, I didn't even know that was possible, or how do I do this, and not realize that they have access to some of these features. So we're going to talk about them today. I'll give you some tips and tricks along the way. So let's get started. And just a quick little note about who I am. I'm Danny, and I've been in marketing for about 8 years now. And I have a particular passion for small businesses, for content marketing, of course. So what you're sending, when you're sending it, and how you're sending it. So like I said, very excited to show you these features today, because that's what we're going to get into. Okay, so in the chat, not in the QA tab, but in the chat tab, if you can, please put in a sentence or in a phrase, what does your business do? I'm curious to see who's here today. That way I can tailor this discussion based on who's represented. I know last time we had a lot of real estate agents. I see pest control. We make seasonings. That's awesome. Nonprofit, hiring agency, janitorial services. See, this is all over the place. I love this. Horse auctions. That's awesome. Okay, plumbing services. Awesome, awesome. Okay, cool. Yeah, last time we had a huge variety as well, so this is perfect. I'll go ahead and go to the next slide. You know, spoiler alert, you can see which features we're actually looking at today. We're going to look at contact segments. So that is splitting your contact lists into groups so that it's easier to target specific people within your groups. And we'll get into what that looks like in a minute. We've got data collection. So that's collecting more information about your contacts that maybe you don't have access to, like zip code, like first name, things like that. Then we have link tracking, and that is, of course, tracking your links. How many people are clicking on your links? What are they doing? How are they engaging with your texts? Templates. That is, you can save texts ahead of time, and then it's easier to input later. Sounds super simple, but you'd be surprised how many people are like, wait, we have access to that? And then teammates. We're going to get into how to add teammates. Everybody here, if you have a Simple Texting account, you have access to 3 total users. So I'll show you how to add your additional 2 users today. All right, the first one, like I said, is contact segment. So this is, again, taking your contact list and splitting it up into groups based on things like demographics, behavior, anything that you want to kind of split them up into. You can do that with contact segments. So I am going to actually go into my Simple Texting account, All right, I am sharing my screen. So hopefully you all can see that there. All right, so as you know, you come to your dashboard. If I want to go in and start creating segments, I'm going to go first to my contacts. And the important thing to note here is that you can segment based on information that is in your contact details. And the contact details is what you see on the side of your inbox. So, I have here for this test customer, I've got their birthday. I could collect their email if I want, things like that. And then if I have data that I want to segment by, I can do that in my contacts tab. So I'm going to go to contacts and then segments and click new segment. And I want to make a note here too that you don't have to furiously take notes or anything. You will get a recording later. So, feel free to just, if you are jotting down notes, just high level notes. Okay, we're going to go in now and create, I want to target, let's say a specific list. I'm going to say, I think I saw that we have a dog daycare business here. So I'm going to say that I'm a dog grooming mobile dog grooming business. And I want to target people. I know that I have an appointment in a specific city. So I want to target people in that same zip code with a quick promo and get more customers in that location. So I'm going to say, this is their zip code. Oop, there we go. So you can actually see in real time, these are the people with that information already collected. When I uploaded my list, it had their zip code in a column. So now I know I've got this person, 25 people here. So we're going to go ahead and save that. And this is just an internal name. It's just something I can use to help me remember what that segment is. And then if you're wondering, okay, what do you do with a segment? I could go to campaigns and hit new. And I'm going to go here and I'm going to create a new, I'm going to create a new text message campaign. There we go. And it's going to be about this offer. There we go. So I'm letting people know I've got this offer. When it expires, they can use this code and go to a specific link. And then I'm going to select my new segment here. And you can see that there's a little icon that shows that's a segment in case you forget. So I could send it immediately. I could schedule it for later if I wanted to, or I could even use a recurring campaign. So let's say I know that every third Friday of the month, I have a customer in this particular zip code. Maybe I want to try to get some more business in that area every third Friday. So I can set that up as a recurring campaign and try to get some more bookings that way. So I'll save this one as a draft for now, but that's just to give you an idea of how you might use segments in this case. And I'm actually going to go back to the segments tab because it's not just zip codes that you can pull information from. You can do phone number, first name. Maybe you want people from a specific email address domain. If you maybe have people with their company emails, you could select specific domains. Anything you have in the notes tab of your contact details, their birthday, where they opted in from, and that's things like a web form that you've created or a keyword that you've used that they text in to join your list. And then you can create custom fields. I'll actually show you that real quick. We'll go in and as you may remember, we just did zip code. I collected it and created a custom field for it beforehand, but you can create any custom field that you want. If I want to do a specific date, maybe it's an anniversary or something like that, I can set it here and give it a name, whatever I want to remember this by, and then I can segment my list based on that date. I can also add this tag, so I could copy this and paste it into a campaign, and it would pull that dynamically into my text message, as long as there's something in there for that contact for this particular data. All right, let's see here. So we are going to go back to, sorry guys, still learning this platform here. Okay, And so when you get the slides, I do have a slide in here for just to give you an idea of some things you can do with contact segments. You could even, if you integrate simple texting with your point of sale system or a CRM for your customer database, you could potentially pull in things like the type of products that they've purchased or what services they've signed up for. If they're a volunteer, you could look at what type of volunteer they are, things like that, and pull that information in to simple texting. All right, and remember, if you have any questions, please do add them to that Q&A tab, and you can upvote the ones that you want to see answered. In case we run out of time, we'll be able to prioritize that way. So the next feature is data collection, and this is essentially just collecting some more information from your customers or your contacts that you don't have already when you upload a list. So for instance, if somebody texts in a keyword and you want more information from them, this is a great way to automatically collect that information. So here in the example on the screen, I wanted to collect the first name and the store location, whatever location they frequent, so that I know, if I'm a store owner or a store manager, I know where that contact wants to shop. And so I can send them targeted campaigns based on that information. And then all of that information is going to be in the contact details, so I can refer back to it at any time. So let me show you that in simple texting. Okay, so when we go to apps and we scroll down to data collection, we can set up new data collection. And actually, let me show you first. This is going to be an important thing you want to do. You can do data collection with keywords. So anytime somebody texts in a new keyword, let's go ahead and create a keyword here. So we'll do VIP text club. And I want the confirmation message to be, I want to thank them for joining and let them know what they can look forward to. So I've got that here. And then I would just save that keyword. Oh, and I already have that one, so it's already taken. So we'll go back to apps since we already have that keyword collected. And we are now going to create our data collection. So I want to name this store location. And we're going to collect it from VIP Club. And it's going to go ahead and send that confirmation message that I set up in the keyword portion. And it'll, of course, send our compliance message to comply with SMS regulations. And then we get down to the questions that we might want to ask. So I want to know their first name. And I want this to map to the first name in my contact data. So, of course, what's your first name? And then I want to add another question here for store location. This is a custom field that I set up earlier. So store location, and then I'm going to ask them, I wanted to send them a message saying, great, and which is your favorite Simple Shop store location? Please reply Brooklyn or Williamsburg. You may want to be specific here, let them know that they want to reply with one of these, and so they're not sending a full sentence or anything like that. You want it to be pretty concise so that you'll have consistent data for everybody. And then we would create that. And so then, like I mentioned, when you go into your contact information, I can see here, Emma has already replied, and her store location of choice is Brooklyn. So then if I wanted to send out a promo for that location, I would go in and send it to, I would then create a custom segment first and select anybody with Brooklyn in their contact details, and then go in and create a campaign with that new list. So I'm going to switch back over here. Here we go. All right. Some other things that you could collect. I was kind of digging around to see what are some things that you could collect besides first name, because that's a pretty easy one, right? But if you do have maybe a dog grooming business, you could ask what's your pet's name, and that will be added to their profile, to their contact details. You could say, I've seen some people ask, are you registered for our next event? So then if they're not registered, you could send them a campaign inviting them to the next event. Or what's your email address? We'll connect that to your loyalty account, things like that. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the next one here. And this is link tracking. This one, I mean, of course, is very simple. You're tracking who's clicking on your links, how many people, what percentage of people are clicking on your links. And then you can take some actions based on that information. I always recommend tracking links anytime you can, because then you have that data and you'll know next time I send this campaign or send a similar campaign, do I need to change anything? Do I need to maybe add an image to entice people to click through? Maybe I'm not being specific enough about what's in that link, right? If you're just dropping a link in your text, people might not know where it's going and may not feel comfortable clicking on it or tapping on it. So here in this example, we're very specific about what you're gonna go to or what you're gonna get whenever you click. You're gonna make a reservation. It tells you who this text is from, and there's a fun image to let you know that, hey, there's some delicious food on the other side of this. So we will go into simple texting, and I'll just show you, it's super simple. If we go into campaigns, let's say I want to track a link in a campaign. So let me pull a link here. We're going to go back to that mobile dog grooming company that I started. And if I want to track this link here, all I have to do is click shorten URLs. That's going to shorten it. It's going to save me some characters, and it's going to make that trackable. This link here, this gives me an example of what it would look like, but this will be custom. Instead of sample, it'll be a custom string of letters and numbers so that I can then track those clicks. So if I wanted to go in and see, how has this performed? Are people actually clicking on this? Let's go into our analytics dashboard, and you're automatically in messaging report, going down to the detailed breakdown. I have some other, example campaigns here. I'm going to scroll all the way to the end, and I'll see this is where I would see click-through data. CTR, that's click-through rate. That's the percentage of people who have clicked on that link. And then the number of clicked. So I can see, how is that performing? Is it as many clicks as I expected? Is it lower than I'm used to getting for clicks? And you can see here, like in this campaign, for example, I didn't track the link. So it's just included in the message. But when you track it, it'll be in this URL column. And then if people clicked on it, you would get data here. So you could even, if you want to get super fancy, if you want to see, maybe you want to send a text message to somebody people who haven't clicked on the link before, you could go in to segments, create a new segment, and then under criteria, you're going to go to link. And so now I can see people who have clicked on a specific campaign or autoresponder or keyword, but in this case, I'm curious who has clicked on my campaign link. And then I'm going to select the campaign and the specific link that I want to track. And then I would save that segment. And then I can pull anybody who has clicked on it or has not clicked on it here. And then as we've done before with these segments, we'd go into campaigns and select that segment that we just created. Okay, here we go. And so that is link tracking. It's, like I said, super simple, super easy to use. I recommend using it anytime you can. I think the only time maybe it's okay not to use it is if you're saying follow us on Instagram and you give your Instagram link. Then they can see that it's clearly going to Instagram. But if it's something on your website or you want to maybe take some action on it later based on who has or hasn't clicked, definitely track it. So let's get into now templates. And I mentioned this earlier, it's super, super simple. You might think, that's fine, I have a spreadsheet or a document somewhere that has all of my text that I normally send out, but it's so much easier if you can just click a button and input it that way. So And it's funny too, because I came across a customer who they had amazing campaigns after somebody, it was a yoga studio, and after somebody visited a class, every single time they would ask them, how was that class? You know, did you enjoy it? What did you think? And I didn't see that they had any templates set up. And so I was imagining they probably were copying, pasting from another document into Simple Texting. And that just sounds exhausting to me. So it's an amazing idea to ask people and get that feedback, but it's, you can save some time there. So we're going to go into Simple Texting. Here we go. And create our own template. One thing to note with templates is that they're saved locally to whatever you've created it under. So for instance, if I create a template for my inbox, it's only going to be saved in my inbox. If I create one for a campaign, I would go to New Campaign and then Templates. And this is where I would add my template. So as you can see, there's some populated here because I've added some for campaigns before, whereas in this situation, I haven't for inboxes. So if I wanted to add a template here, I would give it a name. And so I'm going to call this one grooming appointment reminder. And then this is totally up to you, but I like to add, if I know that there's going to be some variables in there, like names or anything like that, I'm going to add in bold and in brackets or in some way to denote to myself, these are things that I want to fill in. That way you're not accidentally leaving in like hi first name or something like that. Make it very clear to yourself that this is going to be changed. It's also good if you do have other people using your account, you know, if you've got them set up. And again, we will go over how to add people. But if you have teammates on your account, it's just really easy if they know, oh, I'm going to change this information here. And then I would hit add template, and that's all added here. And as you can see, I've got, you know, volunteer opportunities. So if I'm a nonprofit, I might want to add templates for different opportunities, open house invites, new listings if you're a real estate agent, things like that. You can be super creative with it, whatever you normally send out. You can do the same for autoresponders. You can add templates here. And you can also do it for keywords. If you make a lot of keywords and you want to add templates for these confirmation messages, as you can see here, this is, I started my own real estate agency apparently, and I want to add this template for keywords because I promote a lot of homes. Then I might want to send the same kind of message here. There you go. And let me go back to my slides here. Okay, one little thing that I want to mention with templates is spell check, grammar check, spell check. Super simple thing to overlook, but I actually have an extension on my browser that will let me know if there's a typo, or it'll at least alert me to there may be a typo here. Super helpful because, again, if you have other people in your account, or even if it's just you, you're going to want to make sure that that template that you're going to reuse over and over is correct, that it's good to go and you don't have to think about it anymore. So that's just a little thing I've learned along the way. I even saw a Reddit post recently of someone who said that they sent something out and they just changed one little letter and it was not a good word that they sent out. So the last thing that we're going to look at here is teammates. Like I mentioned earlier, you have access to 3 users. That includes you as the account owner, and then you get 2 more seats. So we're going to go in. You can see here in this little example, maybe I want to refer a customer to another department, or I know somebody specifically on my team who can answer that question. Instead of copying their message and sending it in Slack or through another text message or something like that, if they're already in your account, you can just assign that message to them. So I'm going to show you how to actually add somebody to your account. Okay, so I'm going to go to my settings here, and I'm going to click on team. So you can see here, I am the account owner, but if I want to add somebody, I'm going to add Alfredo. So I think his Simple Texting account is already there. So I'm going to use his Cinch account here. And I could add him as just a member. So that would give him access to any contacts that I want to give him access to, any numbers that I want to give him access to, but he couldn't actually edit settings on my account. But if I make him a manager, then he has all the same capabilities that I do, except for viewing and editing billing, of course. So I'm going to make him a manager, and he's going to be on the primary number. If you have multiple numbers, this is really great. If you, for instance, maybe have a restaurant with multiple locations and you want specific people to only have access to specific numbers and specific groups of customers, then that's something that you can take advantage of. So for instance, if I wanted to restrict his access to specific lists, I might say, I only want him to have access to the dog grooming customers. And then I would send my invitation. So Alfredo, get ready. You're going to be invited to my account soon. And so I do want to go in and show, I mentioned earlier, you can assign messages to people. So if I want to assign this to somebody, if there is somebody in my account, I can actually click on this drop down and just go ahead and assign it to them. So when they log into their SimpleTexting account, they're going to see that message in there for them. So this is a great thing if you have like maybe people in the field and you want to assign them specific customers to respond to. This is a good way to do that. And while we're here, I do want to show as well, because I've had some people say like, oh, I didn't know we had that, or I didn't know I could do that. You do have access to some other things, like if you're sending a message to somebody, you want to add a contact card, you could actually add that here. When you do it for the first time, you'll have the opportunity to create your contact card and add your phone number, your name, your email, and a profile picture. And so you can do that here. This is a great thing. I could say, tap to add me as a contact. And then that way, when somebody opens your message, it's going to come up as a contact. It's not going to just be a random number on their phone. So if they forget maybe who you are, or if it's somebody that you think may want to refer back to you in the future, it's just an easy way for them to add you. And it kind of helps build that trust as well. And so you can even shorten URLs from the inbox. You can, if I wanted to say, hey, Alfredo, I have a note for you on this customer, I can add my note here and say, please help her with order number, whatever. And then I can add that here, and it's going to post it as a note. So when Alfredo logs in and I assign that to him, he'll see that note there. And he'll have more context on that. All right, so we're going to come back to our screen here, and I've got one more feature to show you guys. So I lied, there's not 5, there's 6. And I'm going to show you it's a fun one. If you've ever been on a webinar with me before, you've probably heard me talk about Postino Wine Cafe. It's a restaurant chain. They have some here in Atlanta where I am, all over. And they did an amazing campaign. I believe it was a year or a year and a half ago. And it was March Madness style bracket, but for bruschetta flavors. So it was like, choose your favorite each week. Here's your 2 choices. And then it would go to the end, and the one that won would have a permanent spot on the menu. So it was a really fun way to use texting, and it was super successful for them. So I want to show you, if you wanted to set up a poll, this is how you would do it. And it can be fun too, because you can make it a fun poll. You could make it something more useful, maybe collect feedback from people that way. So if I want to go in and create a poll here, I'm going into apps and then polling, new poll. And then let's see, I'm going to call this poll happy hour treats. And let's say I have maybe a co-working space, and I have a happy hour for my members every Thursday. So I want to give them the option for what they're going to see this week, this coming week at the happy hour. So I'm going to give them 3 choices here. And I'm specifically here calling out, I want them to respond with A, B, or C. These are going to be added as, here we go, A, B, and C. That way they're not replying back with the full word, and then it wouldn't be counted towards the total. If they type in mini tacos, it's not going to be counted, but if they type A, it'll be logged as a vote. And so I want to send this to maybe my VIP club, and then I could set another message here that we'll send at the end after they voted. So thanks for voting. We'll share the winning treat tomorrow. And then you could message them later and let them know who won or what won. You could also allow them to view the results. So it would send automatically all of the results up until that point. So the tallies for each of these options up until that point. I'm going to unselect, and then I'll hit send. And so now I can see information about this poll. So I can see who has replied or how many people have replied, and it'll give me a tally here. And so now I know what my members want to see at the next happy hour. You could also set this up. This is great for if you already have an existing list that you want to send a poll to. But if you want to maybe run a campaign or some kind of fun activity for people who aren't on your list yet, you could go to text to vote surveys, because we had polling subscribers here. But if we go to text to vote surveys, it's basically the same functionality, but you're selecting keywords. So you're creating a keyword to go with this poll. And so when they text in that keyword, they're added to your list and they'll get this poll that they can vote on. So that's just a fun way you can engage people and a fun way you can grow your list. All right, so we're going to go back, and we've got some time for Q&A. And I think Alfredo was moderating here.
Yeah, happy to pop. You can hear me, right?
Yes, I can hear you.
To pop back in. I've been trying to type away, answer as many questions as possible. I was just typing a reply to Curtis, who asked, how do you acquire multiple numbers under the account? I can share my screen.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Oh, I can't share my screen, but if you go to settings, numbers, there's a button that says add number, and that's how you can add additional numbers to your account.
I was going to share it here. Oh, yeah, I could. Okay. You may need to stop sharing the slides, and then are you able to share now?
Let's see. Yes.
Sweet.
Right here, you go to settings, numbers, then there's add number, and it'll give you options whether you want a toll-free number, a local number, or to text enable an existing number that you have. Then I see a question from Julie asking, are team members included for free on all of SimpleTexting's plans? So there's the admin seat, so that's the account owner, and then you can add 2 teammates for free. And then it's $20 a month for any additional teammates.
Mm-hmm. I see one here about editing the contact card once it's been created. And yes, you can. I want to double check where that is, so I don't tell you the wrong thing here.
I want to clarify actually on that one. So you can definitely edit the contact card. Once you've sent that contact card to your customers, the ones who have saved it and saved your number, and now your logo and your name appears, if you make changes on your end in SimpleTexting, that won't like auto update. It's not something that's constantly syncing. They've already saved it, so it won't reflect. But in the future, if you send it out to new customers and they save that new one, that'll reflect with the new information.
Mm-hmm. And we can get that information to you, Curtis, about where exactly to go for editing afterward. I don't want to tell you the wrong thing, but we can follow up after this.
And I also see a question around, can we add someone as a team member if they're already connected to another SimpleTexting account with the same email? So this is a little bit of a frustrating thing about SimpleTexting, but there's an easy workaround. So you can't use the same exact email. Like let's say you work for 2 different companies and they both have SimpleTexting accounts and you want to be a teammate on both. But what you can do, if you have Gmail, you can add, not a lot of people know this about Gmail, you can add +1 to the end of your email address, like literally +1 or +2 or +3, and that will be an alias of your email. So I can open up I can be a teammate on one account as Alfredo+1 at SimpleTexting.com, and then in another account as Alfredo+2 at SimpleTexting.com. And those will continue to go to my email address. So that's your way of getting around that.
I didn't know that, so I'm glad we were talking about that. That's interesting.
I see a question from Matt asking, my web form is just capturing phone numbers. Is there a way to add contact info by adding columns from a spreadsheet matching on phone number? So if I'm understanding your question correctly, you want to add in, I think you're talking about custom fields. So let me share my screen again and show you where this is. So you don't need to kind of do a workaround where if you want to collect zip code, you're adding it under last name or something like that. You can actually add as many custom fields as you want. So here you'll see some of the default ones, and you'll see I've added some. So you can just create new custom field. So let's say I'm a pet store company and I want to collect, pet name. I can just create that custom field. And then when I go to import my customers, if I have their pet name in a column on a spreadsheet, I'll just be able to match that column to this custom field. So you can create as many custom fields as you need and customize them to your business. And you can also create different types of custom fields. So there's one, you can do text or number, date, things like that.
And if you have an existing list of customers and you want to go back and append that information, you can re-upload that list and it will just append that to their contact information instead of creating a duplicate contact, as long as the number matches up.
I also see another question from Curtis asking, I'm curious about how business owners are choosing to engage clients through one-on-one text messaging threads. So this is like super highly dependent on that kind of business, right? If you're a plumbing company, a common thing is scheduling over texting. I find especially small business owners, they're in the middle of a job, they don't have the chance to answer the phone, so they'll just include on their website a call to action saying, text us to schedule a visit, and then that's what they use texting for. Other people will use it to kind of nurture leads. I would encourage you to look up Shoestring on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And we actually have an episode where we work with one of our customers who's looking for ways to nurture leads over text. So you may get some inspiration there.
Mm-hmm. I see a question about the browser extension that I use for proofreading. Let me go in, and I believe it's called, let's see, AI Grammar Checker and Language Tool, all one word, Language Tool. That's the one that I use. It's a free extension, but there's a lot of them out there. So definitely look at the reviews before you download anything. But I like it because I can decide which pages I want it to run on, and even in Google Docs or something like that, it'll let me know if there's a potential mistake. And it's also, you can change the language on it. So if you have multilingual customers and some of your messages are in maybe Spanish, you could change it for that as well.
Thanks everyone for your patience. I'm trying to read through these questions.
Let's see here. Okay, did I hear you mention the character count when customers are responding, example given selecting single letter for polls? So with the polls, if you want them to, if you want to log their vote so that you can see that tally that I showed in the poll, just ask them to reply back with like A, B, or C, or if you have multiple, maybe you have more than 3 responses, you say A, B, C, or D. That way they can just send that letter back and it'll log it as a vote. That way they're not sending you, I like milkshakes or anything like that that's going to be not counted essentially. So that's the only reason. There's no limit necessarily, but I recommend letting them know how you want them to respond.
I'm seeing a few things that you can't do with simple texting. And so I'm writing all of these down and I'll be sure to pass them on to our product team. So one is I want to be able to send birthdays without having to make 365 segments. So with the birthday text app, this probably isn't exactly what you're looking for, but if you can set up a keyword where just like data collection, the person texts in the keyword, it asks them for their birthday, they reply, and then that's saved, and then this app will automatically send a happy birthday text. But I can see it's a little awkward for them to have to text in something specifically about their birthday rather than just you importing it. Then I'm seeing create a segment of folks who have not received a text from you yet. Okay, I'm going to read out the full question. Can you create a segment of folks who haven't received a text from you yet? We currently have a list and we send them a quick text, but don't want to text them again with the same message when new contacts come in. Cornelia, I'm curious if you can give me a little bit more detail about the use case. That may help me kind of suggest the best way of going about this. Maybe you can give me a little bit more detail about your business and exactly like what text you're sending them and what they're texting back. That may help, can probably suggest a good way of going about this.
And I see one from Heath that says the single biggest missing feature is being able to search the inbox by keyword. I totally agree. I think that would be, and I think if you're talking here about, are you talking about a specific SMS keyword or maybe something included in the message? Because if I'm not mistaken, we can't select, we can't search by things that are in the message, but you can search by list. So if it's, I want to see all responses from somebody in a specific list or even a specific campaign that they've responded to, you can see that. But we can, like Alfredo mentioned, we can pass that along to our product team.
Yeah, totally agree. It'd be nice to just be able to search if there's a certain word that you remember being in a text. Mm-hmm. How many characters does an emoji count as? Oh man,
I have it because I was curious about that too. So it's 92, which that means you'd have 68 left over for anything else. And that's just how emojis work with SMS. We're not trying to limit you, but that's just how that works with SMS. But you could make it an extended message. So if you want to add more text, you can. It'll just cost more credits if you go above that credit limit for SMS. Or sorry, that character limit for SMS. So yeah, 92 characters.
Okay, I'm seeing Cornelia saying, once we get more contacts, we only want to text the new contacts with this message. So there should be a way to do that. Let me pull up my account. Danny, feel free to answer another question while I think about how I would go about doing that.
Okay. How can I search for a contact without searching every single list? Let me go in. I might be able to share my screen here and show you. Let's see. Oh, I see what you're saying. So instead of having to go into every single list and search, I don't believe that there's a way. So if I wanted to, for instance, search for that contact that I created, Emma, if I go to my contacts and just go to lists, if I type Emma into the search, I'm only searching the lists. But if you go into that specific list, oh, go ahead.
There's an all contacts tab. You just click on all contacts at the top.
Thank you. That's so much easier.
Yeah.
See, we're learning things every day.
Here, I can share my screen and just show how to do that. Here we go. Just you'll see all your lists. You just click all contacts. It'll take a second to load because I have a lot of contacts in here, but you'll just type it right in here. Type their name or phone number. So what I would suggest for Cornelia is to go to contacts and then create a segment. It's going a little slow, maybe my internet here in the office, but you can segment based on when your contact joined. And so what I would do is create a segment of people who joined after your last campaign. And that way it'll exclude everybody who was sent your previous campaigns. And then when you go to create a campaign, you will send it to just that segment. Does that make sense? So create a segment of people who joined after you sent your last campaign. That there's a field called opt-in. So it'll be, contacts, opt-in is after, and then just insert the date of your last campaign. That's the way to go about that. Mm-hmm. So we'll answer maybe 2 more questions. Thank you, everybody, for sticking around. We had a good turnout, 46 minutes of SMS marketing, simple texting knowledge. Let's see.
And if you have questions, remember, use that Q&A tab. That'll be easier for us to kind of go in and see if anybody has upvoted, and in case people have the same questions. I can also look here in the chat.
I see, is there a way to batch contacts to be removed from lists? I need to know a little bit more details, but you can definitely, let me share my screen. You can use this on the left-hand side and collect lots of contacts at once and then hit delete. Mm-hmm. You can do that under any of your lists.
There's an interesting question here, and I think I know a way, but I'm curious too from you, Alfredo. Carly is asking, is there a way to organize the inbox messages? We have a complaint line where people text in. Can we create folders for the stores and add messages to the folders similar to email accounts? And I don't believe you can add them to folders, but you could if you have those contacts on a specific list. Maybe there's a list of customers who have texted in for complaints, then you could search that list in your inbox and see all of those messages at once. Is that what you would say, Alfredo, or is there another way?
Yeah, no, unfortunately we don't have folder functionality where you could kind of organize it in that same way. You can organize it by like open messages that haven't been replied to yet, or you can snooze them, things like that. You can see who replied to specific campaigns, but you can't kind of just get conversations and put them into folders. Some people keep it organized by having multiple numbers. So they'll have like one number that's just for complaint lines and then another phone number for campaigns, for example. They'll have multiple phone numbers to keep things clean.
All right, let's see here.
So I'm trying to see, are you able to, I don't know why my account's going slow. Are you able to show how to edit the contact card?
That's what I'm looking at right now, yes. Let's see.
We'll answer that question. We still have a few more here, but we do have to wrap up. If you have any other questions, feel free to ask them just in the support chat, the bubble at the bottom of your Simple Texting account, and we've got a support team who's happy to help.
Okay, just a moment while I get connected here.
And a good question from Curtis. If you create multiple numbers, do they all have their own contact card? And the answer is yes. Contact cards are tied to a specific number. And so that way, let's say you have a restaurant with multiple locations, you can include the location name in the name that you want saved to that contact card.
Mm-hmm. And Alfredo, where would we go to update contact cards? Because I know, of course, if you're in the inbox and you want to send one, you can add a contact card here.
Head to settings.
Okay.
Number should be under number.
Numbers.
And click edit. And then contact card.
Here we go. So if you hit edit, yeah, we went to number settings, numbers, and then when you select that number and go into edit number settings, here we go. So now I can change my photo, I can change my name, And I think somebody else had asked, how do you change your logo? And that's where you would do that if you want to change your logo for your contact card. I find it, even as just a consumer, I find it super helpful. And I've used this before when I'm sent a contact card, because then it's so much easier than me having to go in and just add things. I'm probably not going to do that. But if it's a tap and then a save, a lot easier to do that. And you can also, there's additional fields if you want to add those in as well.
All right, well, thank you everybody for your time. Excited to, I hope this was useful. Feel free to email us some feedback. Let support know whether this was useful so that we can continue to host more of these. And if you want some one-on-one help, again, look up Shoestring on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. That's a podcast that's hosted by Danny and myself, where we work one-on-one with our customers and come up with creative ideas for how they can use texting and improve their marketing. Thank you all so much.